Let's do in the spin thing. All right. We are live, so it says.
Woo.
Welcome. We are going to be discussing in today's live What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher.
Two cats that
Trying to show the cover without it actually being glary. There we go. There's the cover. There's the book. Are we ready?
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm ready for Katie's dramatic reading. After Nutmeg.
Oh, I need to get a synopsis up. Hang on. Let me get the Goodreads.
It's just tradition now. We have to have the dramatic reading.
Right?
Dramatic synopsis. Are you ready for the dramatic synopsis, Nutmeg?
Like, maybe.
She's like, I don't know about this, mother.
When Alex Easton, a retired soldier, receives word that their childhood friend Madeline Usher is dying, they race to the ancestral home of the Ushers in the remote countryside of Ruritania. When they find there's a nightmare of fungal groves and possessed wildlife surrounding a dark pulsing lake, Madeline sleepwalks and speaks in strange voices at night, and her brother Roderick is consumed with a mysterious malady of the nerves. Aided by redoubtable British mycologist and a baffled American doctor, Alex must unravel the secrets of the House of Usher before it consumes them all. And we don't mean Usher the rapper.
Yeah, there's none of that in here.
Did you like my dramatic reading, or was that awful?
She's like,
Oh, bye. I don't think that Meg liked it.
She's like, no, I don't want to be a part of this.
She's like, that was horrible. I'm leaving.
She's like, I
So
don't
what
like
format did we read it in?
I listened to it on Scribd, or Everend as it's now called.
I did the hardback cover or hardcover and audio.
At first, I tried listening. And then I tried physically, and I just could not with either. So I tried both.
With how small it is, you just couldn't get into it.
No, honestly, like normally I give myself a rule of like read like the first 100 pages at least, and I was just like at page 26 I was like, I just don't care anymore. I don't know, I just could feel myself, you know, when you could feel yourself going into a slump, and I was just like, no, I do not want that happening. So like, I'm just gonna have to just say no. I've tried twice with it. Yeah, just
it is slow in the beginning.
Yeah.
It even took me a little bit. I mean, it's only 158 pages for this, and I was just like,
yeah, I mean, I'll get into like all of the reasons why later, but I'd be intrigued to hear your thoughts because you both obviously read it. So,
what did we rate it?
I gave it 4 stars.
Same.
Yeah, 4 stars.
Yeah, I did 4.
I mean, I DNF'd it, so 1.
Oh, Lucinda says hi.
Hiya, Spasia. Hi, Lucinda.
But yeah, like on Corpal for the 26 pages that I read, I was rating what of the book out of like, you know, characters and that, like, and it was like 0s and 1s.
Oh no.
by page 26.
You're
Let's
looking at
see
the
what,
page.
what we're up to.
Honestly, the last bit I remember is where he was talking about what people called people. Like, I
Oh
can't
yeah,
remember. Like,
the kind of history behind the sworn soldiers and why they were called
The
what they were.
Galatian history or whatever.
it was
Yeah.
just like, oh, you should never call them by this term and all of this. And I was just like, you've just gone on a fucking huge tangent. Get back to the story. Like, I don't care about that. All these people, I'll call them whatever I bloody want. I can't even remember like the dialogue at the beginning, and then like when he like first made it to the house and all of that, and I was like, okay, this is cool. And then he just went off this massive huge tangent for about 4 or 5 pages before going back to the conversation. I was like,
Yeah,
what?
it did kind of feel like it was thrown in there just for the like page count almost. But yeah, I was
we
confused at that point.
probably could have done without it, to be honest, but it is what it is.
Then it'd be even shorter. But
I mean,
Well,
it
for
could have been
me,
130 pages instead of 158.
yeah. Well, for me, it was kind of thrown in there as like a hint of like this will be like a longer series, but with it being as short as it is, I would think it would fit more in an actual novel and not in a novella, which confuses me with this is supposed to be a series because the second book comes out in like end of January or February, I believe.
Yeah.
yeah, it's like a novella size, but it's kind of a series, isn't it? So
Yeah.
it's just like
So
it would be better if they had it as an actual whole book.
Yeah, and I don't think the second one has to do with the same kind of theme as the House of Usher, so I don't know if it's supposed to be like another Poe retelling or not, or if it elaborates more on the House of Usher kind of thing.
I'm curious to know.
But yeah, if they made it like,
Yes.
even if they mixed a lot of Poe retellings in one
Yeah.
or something, and then just cut out the stupid tangent talk.
I do have to say, I did enjoy reading this more than the original source material because I read the original source material sometime last year and it took me forever to get through it because I'm like, what the heck is going on? I know
That makes me not want to read it now.
like seriously, it is probably one of my least favorite Poe works because of the fact. So I was interested in seeing how she adapted it and like retold it. And I really did enjoy it more than the original.
That just makes me not want to read the original work.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
I don't recommend it.
I read this recently for a Discord buddy read and don't remember anything other than rabbits and death.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
It just so happened,
mushrooms.
mushrooms.
Yeah, it just so happened that the Discord buddy read she's talking about, when I noticed that was going to be the buddy read, so I'm like, sweet, I'm knocking off 2 at once.
Right? The second book is called What Feasts at Night, and it has a horse kind of decaying on the front cover.
Hopefully not the horse from this book.
Yeah.
That would be very sad.
You know, that crossed my mind briefly when I saw the cover. I'm like,
This is also supposed to be about the House of Usher.
Okay.
So it's like a continuation. But it says that he, like, after the terrifying ordeal of Usher Manor, Easton feels as if they just survived another war. It has Angus and Miss Potter. So there's going to be more. It's almost like a PTSD version.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, those rabbits. She mentioned rabbits and death, and that's just the rabbits are creepy.
And
Like,
what's funny for me is going from reading this to now I'm reading Bunny for a
Just
blog.
from one fucked up book to another fucked up book.
Yeah, so I'm like continuing the bunny, creepy bunny themes. So yeah, every time I meant because I'm at a part in Bunny where an actual bunny appears. I'm like thinking about these bunnies, and I'm like, get out of my head, go back over there.
she says, I agree the length is strange. The story follows the Edgar tale closely, and I don't think it added much beyond that, but so it was short. I think they added more of their ideas, it would have been longer.
Yeah, I agree.
The length that they are, and let me see if it tells me what the length is for the second book. Yeah, the second book's only 160 pages too. The length reminds me of the Murderbot Diary books because a lot of the first couple of ones are this small.
Mhm.
So they're like bite-sized stories, but
Like children's book lengths.
yeah, it's
I dare you to give this to a child. See what happens.
Yeah, even they would be like, "No, mum, this is shit." Like,
maybe if they were Wednesday Adams.
Yeah, or me.
But with it being so short, I call these palate cleansers because they're so short. They're under 200 pages, and it's just enough to make you think in a way, but it also gears you for changing from one story to the next. If that makes sense.
Mhm.
like a book between reads. You mean like that?
Right. Yes, Lucinda, you did. You have to come
Unfortunately,
back.
yes. And Nutmeg ran away.
We had Nutmeg too, yeah.
Yeah, she was raring to go, and then she had a reading, and then ran away.
It's interesting to see, though, that it seems like the mushrooms have a mind of their own.
Mhm.
And that in itself is scary because I picture like the little mushroom coming out of the ground and then it's like talking.
It's Toad from Mario,
Yeah.
but the evil one.
And the fact that it just kind of like takes over in a sense is just
Mhm.
nope. Mm-mm. It just makes me hate mushrooms even more. I didn't like them to begin with.
I thought like the narrator of the audiobook did a really good job of giving a voice to the different characters and making the descriptions of everything be really vivid. I think that's probably my favorite part of the book is just the description of everything because I could easily picture it, unlike the source material. I just could not get into the source material because of back then, that they're writing, they get paid per word pretty much. And I felt like he spent more time just throwing random words together when this one actually felt more descriptive to the point where I could picture it easily. To the point I was getting kind of like grossed out with the descriptions of the stringy mushrooms in the inside of the rabbits.
Yeah. Yeah. That's and it really like some of the descriptions tie into the cover,
Mm-hmm.
which is not a good visual. It does not. It helps with the story, but at the same time, it just creeps me out.
But I also kind of think I'm more in the phase of going into like my horror reading era, maybe. So I enjoyed it more, even though I like it was grossing me out at some points. So
Yes, like the fact that she'd already been dead by the time the guy showed up,
mhm.
and then the mushrooms were just kind of taken over, and so they were the ones that were trying to like talk to him.
Yeah,
And I was just like, no. Mm-mm. And then they said that they thought it was the lake. There was something in the lake because she was face down in the lake for an extended period of time.
Yeah, like she pretty much drowned, inhaling all the spores and stuff in from the lake. So that, kids,
I
is
think
why
it's
you
just
don't jump into strange water.
that whole area where their house was just needs to be condemned. It was no. Mm-mm. And the way that they described that the rabbits just stopped and stared at you and they never, like, you could tell it to shoo and it just sat there.
Yeah.
But then the brother too. I didn't really like him, but I could tell that he was like going down the same path as she was.
Yeah.
And the whole breaking of the neck. Oh. They apparently, so because you didn't get to this part, Katie, but it basically the brother was trying to figure out like the whole like why she was still alive and she was functioning, but she wasn't really functioning. And
Yeah.
He was a
I think
potato.
what?
She was a potato.
Pretty much. And like so he thought that if he broke her neck, she would die and that would be the end of it. And it wasn't. She just kept going. And I was just like,
What?
no.
No, dear, the book we're talking about, it would be the reason you would give me about not wanting to eat mushrooms.
What?
You would use this book as a ammo of a reason for you not to eat mushrooms.
Don't do it.
Okay.
Mushrooms controlling people.
Oh, that's about like the movie. Oh shit, what was it? Where the plants? It was like a bite. It was like a. Oh my god. The plants turned on people and started producing, like pollen spores that turned people into zombies and killed them. It's a damn good movie, actually.
I don't know. For some reason, the first thing that popped in mind is Little Shop of Horrors.
No. Had I think it was Matt Damon that was in it.
I don't remember.
No, it wasn't Matt Damon.
The Last of Us. This is what that person said.
Oh,
Reading
that's
this
crazy.
after watching The Last of Us, mushrooms aren't as appealing. No, thank you.
Yeah.
I don't like mushrooms to begin with, so
I like
this just solidifies everything.
Those clickers.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. The descriptions were good. I remember shivering and cringing a few times. Yeah, that was one thing that I was doing too, and I was just like, no, don't like mushrooms.
Feed me.
And then feed me. We will feed you mushrooms, Lucinda.
Have all of my mushrooms, Lucinda. I'm trying to think of what else because I mean, like you said, the descriptions and like they were really good, and even like the horse. I felt bad for the horse just being present.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't want anything to happen to him.
Oh, that's what you think. Until book 2.
Listen,
Well, I hope not.
no.
Lovely. Are you wanting potato soup or no?
But then there was also the mycologist, Miss Potter. And I almost thought in the beginning that maybe she was like in on it somehow. And she was there and maybe like controlling the mushrooms in some way. But every
She
time
does
we
seem very
seen her,
suspicious, doesn't she?
she just kind of seemed to be observing and studying them. So I was confused.
It's just how she was there in the beginning, going like, this mushroom and this one. Don't touch this one.
Yeah, don't touch this one. My God, that one's horrible,
This one smells. Just,
right? I want to know why she was there in the first place. Was it really because of
suddenly
the mushrooms?
there.
Yeah.
Didn't you know that you always need a creepy old woman in a village?
Well, she wasn't really in the village though. She was out there by the house, but yet she like wasn't gonna go near the house until Easton like brought her to the house.
Yeah.
And why did they have a crypt down at the bottom of the house? And like they were there thinking that she was just okay. You have to make sure that she's dead for this many days.
Well, a lot of like big families during that time had their own cemeteries and crypts, so I'm not surprised that they had one in that type of house because it's supposed to be kind of like big mansion like, so it kind of fits with that type of big family.
True. And it doesn't really give us like it was in this time period, does it?
No, but I think with the House of Usher, I'm thinking like 1800s kind of thing.
I must know.
The way that the writing style is for me is very kind of like olden-like as well.
Yeah.
The dialogue as well.
19th century, most prominently 1840-ish. Yeah.
Tell me. I know my creepy stories, apparently.
Most of them are about me.
I plead the fifth.
1839. That would make sense to have it. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like it's set in that time frame. You know, like I feel like because they didn't declare that this is when it was, it could be at any time.
Yeah, they didn't really declare it, but just based on the description in my head, I like pictured the 1800s.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it just felt odd just with some of the dialect, like how they spoke was not like how you would speak these days.
Well, and also when they mention like war and stuff, that could be any of them. You know, you could easily squeeze this into the Revolutionary period or the Civil War period or any of them, really.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Well, I think with the American soldier at one point, he said he was a surgeon in this, like, either in the Revolutionary War or the Civil War, one of those ones. I can't remember which one he said.
It was in the book?
Yeah, he mentioned briefly how he was a surgeon in the war, or that he's not quite a doctor because he ended up going into the war and they made him become a surgeon or something. That's the reason why he was there, because the brother knew he had at least some sort of knowledge of disease and sickness.
I must know what they say.
The only thing I didn't like about the main character was just that these tangents they kept going on about. Like, just went from like having a conversation and then the conversation would suddenly go off where they'd talk about something for like 4 or 5 pages. And I'm like, but the conversation was interesting. Go back to it.
Not gonna lie, that's kind of like 90% of my conversations half the time, so that didn't really
But at
bother
least-
me all that much.
At least your conversation tangents are interesting. This one is talking about, like people and make sure you say it like this way because you don't want to say it like that way. And if you say it like this way, and I was like, oh my God, how did it get from these people?
Well, see, now that you mentioned that like really reminds me of how Poe's narrative in the source material was. Like really in kind of majority of his stories, he seems to kind of go off on a small tangent.
But
especially in the Telltale Heart, that whole like the Telltale Heart, I'm like, where is this? What has this guy been smoking? If he's hearing heartbeats in his floorboards or in his walls.
I think it also plays into like because the sister's kind of already gone and the brother is kind of slowly being taken over, so the tangents could be played upon that. He's trying to do all of the remembering of his time before the mushrooms take over.
Maybe.
Once the mushrooms take over, then you're not going to be able to have those kinds of conversations.
Maybe
then
I was just more interested in finding out what was going on with the sister and what's going on with the house. And I don't care about these people that you spoke about in the past.
Hmm.
Go into the house, damn it! Be spooked by mushrooms.
And the scene that really stuck with me the most was when they were dissecting the rabbits for their experiment.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was just creepy in itself. The fact that the rabbit didn't run away, he just sat there. I just.
Ew.
Mm-mm. And the fact that they were like, okay, it's time for it to like go, and then it didn't. I was just like, oh, see, this is why we can't have nice things. There's just so many like little instances like that throughout where you could see like even when he tried to like go and hunt one and then it didn't run. It just sat there and I was just like
it's like, this is no fun. Why is it just accepting death at this point?
you would think that they would like go and try to find another rabbit because obviously there's something wrong with that one.
And like the village has like a thing about the rabbits, like not to kill the rabbits that act that way because they're like witches' familiars or something like that. So that like village knows something is
on.
not right with that's going on. They just chalk it up to it being witchcraft.
Maybe they think Miss Potter is a witch because she's always out there in the woods studying the mushrooms.
I mean, it's possible.
But she never like does anything with them. Like she's just observing, drawing, and like studying them, but she never actually like really picks one up and shoves it in a jar or something.
She just pokes it with a stick. That's about it. Do something.
Don't mess with that one.
Do something.
This one is not moving.
Mm-hmm.
This one smells when they touch it.
This one smells like death when you want to smell like death. I just think my star ratings of it's not so much with like I didn't outright like dislike any of the main like characters. I didn't really care for the American soldier because I kind of just didn't think he really served that much of a purpose.
Was that Denton or Easton?
I think it's Denton. Easton is the main character, the one that you said. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure what his Denton's purpose was. Like, I knew that he was supposed to be the doctor that came via Brother's request, but it didn't seem like he did much else.
Yeah.
Until, like, more towards the end. When they were like, we can capture one of these, study it. And the fact that he helped cover up the brother's breaking of his sister's neck.
Mm-hmm. He's an accessory to murder. That's just us Americans, just accessories to murders.
Yep, you know.
Because that's what we do.
We're not going to have a zombie apocalypse. It's going to be a mushroom apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
The mushrooms are going to try to take over. I'm killing every single mushroom I see if it happens.
See, and I'm just like thinking too, if it's like if you wanted to play like word association with like book recommendations, I would start with Mexican Gothic first, just based on what I've read. Mexican Gothic's heavily in this old decrepit house that's full of mushrooms that make people go crazy. Then we have this book, and then we're going from creepy bunnies to bunny.
Oh, see?
This is the journey I'm going on.
But you see, Mexican Gothic, I actually quite enjoyed.
I haven't
Yeah,
read
I
that one
like
yet.
Yeah, I liked it. It's just this is the timeline in creepy literature, Gothic literature I'm going on.
There's only so much you can say about mushrooms. It just,
He's like, no, thank you. I don't want the mushrooms.
I'm trying to find the spot where, because she was like, well, the sister started talking about something, and it was like it's trying to learn, and it needs a new host or something, and I was like, that would not be me. I forget what she called it though.
Yeah.
Fungi.
I can't remember exactly what the spore itself was, like the name of it was supposed to be.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it real quick because it just.
Would you guys read the sequel? The second one?
Yeah, I would.
I probably will, purely because I want to like see if it's. I don't care if it has mushrooms or not, but I want
Mushroom horses!
the fact that it has a horse on the front and the horse is kind of like decaying on the cover. I want to see if it's like a continuation of this, or if it's like in the same universe but like a different story.
Yeah. I just want to see if they figure out where the spore came from.
Yeah. Maybe it's an alien spores. Tarn.
I just thought it was just like the aliens from Toy Story. The claw.
Mushroom.
I do like though that they did use a lot of the scientific names for some of them. So
Yeah.
like you would say like the spores and the ligaments and the hyphae and all that stuff, but it's still very scary. I'm trying to find, and the fact that it's at one point it said that it was, some of it was like slimy felt. We don't need things to be slimy.
Yeah.
How can you get slimy felt?
That's what I'm
weird.
wondering.
That's
felt is rough, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think because like if you if it's taken over by the fungi, then it can spread. It can change the composition of anything that it touches.
I
mean,
just
imagine it-
picture, yeah, I just picture like wet moss.
Yeah. But then also, like, depending on the bodily structure, because a rabbit's structure and fluids and muscles and all that is going to be different from a human's. We have a lot more like nerve endings and things that are attached and ligaments and stuff. Picture that all being slimy.
I mean, it's kind of already slimy.
It's going to be even more slimy. And not in a good way.
Probably not the best time for me to be hungry. Talking about all this.
Oh my god, no. Ironically, I am too, but not for mushrooms. But it also says, like in here in the book, it says a warm, moist growth medium, said Miss Potter, is very conducive to the growth of many, many fungi. So all they need is water and they can just go to town.
Ew. My chest just feels like.
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Get out of my body.
We don't.
I am not a good host. I have too much fat.
It just reminds me of the one TikTok. It's like, hey, get out of my sandwich.
But like,
imagine getting an X-ray though and finding that you've got mushrooms in you. Like, you.
Just kill me now. Lucinda's like, I have leftover pizza and chips.
Here's the mushroom on it.
Yeah, don't eat the mushrooms.
Don't eat it.
At one point, it creeped me out in the one scene where they were getting ready to experiment and look at the rabbits, and at one point I think they decapitated it,
Mm-hmm.
and it didn't kill it. Like the head was still moving around and stuff like that, and it was just like, if the mushrooms inside could like slowly get closer and closer, then they would be able to reconnect, and then that rabbit would be whole again. And I'm just like, no. I picture like when like they cut Billy's head off in Hocus Pocus, and then he's like searching around for it.
I picture that, but then Pirates of the Caribbean, I think it's like what 2 or 3, where the Davy Jones like sidekicks or minions, the one with the shell for the head, when his head gets knocked off and it grows out legs like a crab and it's scuttling around. That's what I picture. You're welcome.
Thanks. I'm not gonna be able to sleep tonight. Lucinda says, if you've watched Fort Salem, there's a big thing about a sentient mycelium giant mushroom. Oh, see, no, I'm not watching anything with mushrooms. After this book, I can't. I need time. But also with Miss Potter, it almost seemed like she didn't want to believe that it was happening at first. She was like, no, this isn't a thing. It's not, this can't be happening. But then like there they are doing the experiments, and they're like, we need to do this and we need to do that. And they did show the letter that was sent from the brother. That was his whole reasoning for coming out. I can read it real quick. It says, Denton, I need your help. There's something desperately wrong with Madeline, more than just the catalepsy that has afflicted her for some years. Since her near drowning, she has fallen under the spell of a strange madness, one that leaves her speaking in ways entirely unlike herself. She will be entirely herself one morning, and then by afternoon I will find her speaking to the servants as if she was a small child. She points at things and asks for their names and seems astonished. Her voice is very strange. When I comfort her or confront her, she will revert immediately to her old self, but she acts very strange and sly, saying that it was a mere moment of muddle-headedness. What she is doing is frightening the servants. Worst of all, I have heard someone speak this way before, but it was Alice, her maid, who spoke in such fashion. I would overhear them sometimes in Madeline's room. At the time, I thought Alice was doing impressions to make her laugh. You will think me quite deluded, Denton, but when I hear this voice she speaks in, I begin to think of stories of demonic possession, not of illness. It is very terrible to witness. I know that you are a man of reason, and I strive to be, though this dreadful estate has acted badly on my nerves. Please, I beg of you, if there's any kindness in your heart left for either of us, come and help me. That was, I think, the whole mushroom, like the mushroom's trying to learn so it can become smarter.
Yeah.
That's creepy in itself. But I want to know, because if Madeline wasn't the first, if it happened to Alice first, how did Alice, like, what happened to Alice that caused her to go through this quote unquote madness?
Maybe like going for a quick dip in the lake or something like that.
Yeah. Did they say that's what it was, or?
I don't know. That's just me kind of guessing.
But that's what I wonder too. Like if something, is obviously that's where it starts. Like why not drain the lake or set the lake on fire and put fresh water in it or something?
Yeah. Yeah. I thought it was done like pretty well, like just compared to the source material. Like I enjoyed it a lot more, just because of how descriptive it is. But I do see where a lot of it could have been, if it wasn't a novella, it could have been fleshed out a little bit more, and some of the things like going on about the history of like the sworn soldiers wouldn't have been necessary. But just knowing what I do about the source material, I think that's what just made it me like rate it more highly.
I almost want to read the source material, but this book has creeped me out thoroughly. I'm okay.
So next year you'll read the other one.
I'll probably read the next book. Does it say when it comes out? February 13th is when the next book comes out. Ooh, it's a Valentine's Day read. No. We'll wait.
It's what we needed.
Yeah.
You and your love for mushrooms.
Absolutely not. Well, and it shows the mushrooms and on this one, but when you look at the cover for the next one, it shows like the outline of a horse. But it doesn't. There's no mushroom per se. It's just here, I'll pull it up. This one. See, that's what it looks like. Make this bigger if I can. So it doesn't show like the mushrooms like this one does. It just shows like the horse decaying. So now I'm wondering if even mushrooms play a part. Because it doesn't say anything about mushrooms. It's kind of like a, like I said, it almost sounds like it's got a little bit of the like. They go home and then they're like, "Well, this just happened," and then he starts having like PTSD or something.
Yeah.
I'm both interested and nervous to read it. If we had to find similar books, what would you suggest?
Definitely.
I would have just said Mexican Gothic.
Yeah, Mexican Gothic for sure.
I do need to read that one. I haven't read anything by that author yet. Would you read it again or recommend it?
No.
I mean, if you are a fan of Poe's writing, I would say yes.
Yeah.
And if you were a fan of Mexican Gothic, give this a try because with it being in the same kind of spore-heavy vein.
If you like mushrooms, give it a read. If you don't like mushrooms, no.
Or at least be aware that mushrooms are going to be the prevalent in this book.
If you like bunnies and rabbits, don't read this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And strange people.
Or people acting strangely.
I mean, I am strange and unusual.
That's a different kind of strange and unusual, though.
Yeah.
That I can handle. It's when you're being taken over by mushrooms.
Wimps.
That's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Is there any other comments that we have? Anything you remember to and want to talk about?
No, nothing that I can think of.
I just don't think I gelled with the writing either. Like, the writing style was a bit not my cup of tea. Had to really focus to try to read it, if that makes sense.
No, I get what you're saying. It, like I said, it does. In the beginning, it does take a little bit to get into it. But once you're there and you start getting like the puzzle pieces of like him trying to figure out what's going on with Madeline, then that's where it gets interesting. But at the same time, like, you don't really find, like, he'll find a piece here and he'll find a piece here, but you don't get them connected until more towards the end, when they start realizing that it's not necessarily something that's making her go mad. It's something that's trying to take over.
Oh no, Alicia, you're being taken over.
I was just saying, now I feel like I'm being taken over.
I just love how you like said that, like taken over. The timing
No.
is perfect.
This is just my lingering cough. It won't go away.
I'm curious what you're drinking because from this distance, it looks like blood.
It's watermelon Mountain Dew.
Ah,
And the cup is kind of green colored, and then it goes into blue, and then the soda itself is pink.
you're drinking mushroom juice.
Ew.
Ew.
Oh my god. No.
Ugh. Also, if you're a vegetarian or vegan, and you don't
Yeah, this may
like,
not be the book
with
for you.
animal cruelty, that is a very, very bad trigger.
Yeah, this may not be the book for you.
This will traumatize
Some-
you.
Some of the things on the back, they're like, it's a gripping and atmospheric reimagining of Edgar Allan Poe's The Fall of the House of Usher. And then they're like, a grotesque romp. It takes up residence beneath your skin and refuses to leave.
I love that word romp. It's just
It says
romp.
T. Kingfisher spins a biting wit, charm, and terror into a tale that will make your skin crawl. Poe would be proud.
I mean, yeah, you probably would be.
This one says, "What Moves the Dead" is a must-read. Period. It's a author, and it says Jordan Shively, author of Hot Singles in Your Area. I don't I can trust that.
The author of Hot Singles in the Areas read a book about bunnies with mushrooms. Yeah, because this will really boost your love life by reading Mushroom Bunnies.
It's an aphrodisiac. Didn't you know that?
I don't even know what to make of that, really. It's a perfect hair raising in all the right ways. Yeah, I'll
It's a
pass.
hair raising experience.
Oh, we could probably come up with so many puns.
Well, we haven't had any mushroom jokes yet, but I guess that's because we're not fun guy. And there's not mushroom in here for these things. Oh dear. And
Yeah.
yes, Lucinda, next year is so close. It's crazy.
Mhm.
Right? I'm not ready for it, to be honest.
Well, I'm just not ready for the Christmas presents and the fact that it's just going to take all my money. I'm grateful I have a small family just for this.
I can't believe Thanksgiving is next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you guys get Thanksgiving then Christmas as well. It's just like
Yeah.
2 lots of turkey.
Well, we don't usually have turkey for Christmas. It's like ham or something like that.
I do turkey. I won't eat ham. So I will eat turkey. All of the turkey.
Or whatever we feel like making, honestly. Especially for like Christmas Eve. Because I don't get Christmas Eve off, but with it being on a weekend this year, when it won't be too bad. But Jordan's mom doesn't eat any type of pork anyway, so if we do have like any kind of meat, it probably would be like chicken or something.
Just don't buy presents. Everyone, you're getting a card this year. That's it.
Just
my love,
gift card.
my love is enough.
There you go.
The fact that I'm alive is the gift.
Jordan doesn't want any presents, and he's told my family that, or told our family that he doesn't want presents, so he's not gifting presents because he doesn't want presents. I like gifting presents. I don't care if I get any. I like gifting presents. I just don't
Um,
expect to get any.
Well, he's getting one from me. I just have to start cross stitching them. Okay, so real quick, if there's nothing else about the book, then we will go ahead and end this.
Yes, because I need some food. I'm getting kind of shaky.
Same. Okay, so the next book is somewhere
I don't
on my
actually have
notes.
my copy on me. I haven't started reading it yet either.
Well, somebody hold it up because I do not have it near me. But
Have you
it
got
is going
yours?
The House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J. Maas.
I can find it.
That is our next book discussion.
Let's say if not, I can try and reach for mine.
I can see the special edition across the room.
I
but
mean, I can see mine
it's
here, but it's
across the room.
it's
Oh,
2
there we
meters
go.
away.
with my heavily annotated copy.
So we'll be reading that. We're going to be doing the first 400 pages in the next discussion.
Part 1.
Whose
I
channel?
think it's me. I think
On
Yeah.
Katie's
I have it all up.
channel?
It's December 16th, I believe I've got.
That sounds
Probably
familiar.
should. So
I mean, we did organise that like 2 months ago. We were
Yes.
trying to be organised for the year.
Yep. So join us for that House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J. Maas on Katie's channel. Check out the Twitter, which I will have linked below later, and you can catch up on all of the things, and you'll know when the next discussion is. Until next time, guys. Say toodles.
bye.